our next speaker was once a stock market millionaire before being sentenced to almost 10 years behind bars for drug offences in the USA in the early noughties. He now works as a public speaker, author and activist, trying to dissuade young people from a life of drugs and crime. Please welcome to the stage, Shaun Attwood, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting SHP. As a young person from an industrial northern town, I was visiting my aunts and uncles in America. I was dazzled by the houses, the roads, the cars, swimming pools in the backyards. So I thought, once I get out of university, I'm going to go out there and try and make some money. It was basically glorified telesales, if anyone's seen The Wolf of Wall Street. I made this money, and it went to my head, and I'd started raving in Manchester when the rave scene began. It made a big impression on me. So with that money, I thought to myself, and I'm going to transfer the Manchester rave scene over to the Arizona desert. There wasn't any ecstasy out there at the time, so I applied my business studies knowledge and started to have people import ecstasy. So I take full responsibility for what I did. On May 16, 2002, SWAT team smashed my door down, and I ended up in this jail that's got the highest rate of death in America. Well, not only were the gang members murdering the prisoners, even the guards are murdering the prisoners. It was classified to a medium security remand, that's what the cell looks like, but there was 3 bunks, one on top of the other, so it's way overcrowded. The toilet is at the front, so when you go in the toilet, you've got the guys you're living with over here, guys in the day room over here. It's embarrassing going in the toilet with people walking around you, but you just got to get used to it. Phoenix is the hottest of the big cities, gets up to almost 50 degrees. It's hot all year round. We've got these black and white remand outfits, but it's so hot we're just going around in our underwear, which are these pink boxer shorts, to humiliate the prisoner with. Anyway, you start to get these skin infections and bed sores that itch and bleed because it's so hot. Problem is, when you're sweating constantly, the outer layers of your skin turn soggy. So you've got this itchiness, and you're scratching yourself, and clumps of your own skin are detaching under your nails. One of the hardest parts for me was at night, just lying in my bunk, tossing and turning in this pool of sweat, and the itchiness keeping me awake. So we got 2 meals a day. Here's what the chow area looks like. Breakfast came in a plastic bag, moldy bread and green bologna. Green bologna, it's a raw sausage meat, gone past its sell-by date, and it's got a green shine to it. A lot of the food was in boxes businesses were throwing away because it's expired. The mold on the bread, blue, green. Sometimes our mold came in these fantastic psychedelic colors that looked like works of art. And we were so hungry, we just scratched the mold off the bread. And because it was stale, put it in water and swill it to get it down. The evening meal was a mystery meat slop that looked like carroty vomit blended with blood. We called it Red Death. It sometimes had dead rats in it. On one occasion, we gave a rat back to the guards. They said they'd investigate. And they came back later in the day, said the jail won't get any trouble. They said it was just a potato. There wasn't much we can do. The boss of the jail, one of his favorite quotes, "It costs us more to feed our police dogs than our prisoners. And our police dogs are working for a living." It said it cost him 50 cents or less per day to feed the prisoners. Now, it wasn't my brightest idea to break the law in Arizona, which is where the jails are run by these gang members. The Aryan Brotherhood is the gang member that runs the white race. So as soon as I went in, I've got this little sheet with my charges on. I don't understand it. It's like conspiracy, criminal enterprise. The gang come up to me, "What are your charges? What are your charges?" I'm not sure what my charges are. Like, "What do you mean you don't know what your charges are? Are you a chomo? Are you a chomo?" Chomo means child molester, and I didn't know what that meant either, so I was basically digging my own grave. I pulled the charge sheet out, and then they left me alone when they saw it was drugs, and my bail was set at $750,000. That got me some respect from them. So after I got through that interrogation, I had to go meet the head of the gang, explained all the rules I must follow, else the whole gang would smash me. If someone calls me a punk, a bitch, or hits me, I must fight them on the spot, or else the whole gang will smash me. Must take showers, or they'll smash me for bad hygiene. Can't go making friends with the guards, they'll smash me for snitching. Can't go sit at tables with the other races, they'll smash me for that. Everything you take for granted about your safety in society was reversed in here. They're constantly looking for people to beat up because that's how they earn their reputations and their tattoos. It's called putting work in to earn your political ink. The more serious the violence, higher up in the gang hierarchy are the tattoos. Under every head of the gang are guys called torpedoes. They'll go in and smash someone, no questions asked, just so they can earn their tats, which look like this. This guy on the right, he was getting escorted to medical one day, snatched the guard's gun, shot him dead, and escaped. He didn't get very far. He was actually rearrested at a local McDonald's. Straight to McDonald's. That's the full Aryan Brotherhood membership on his neck, the warbird. To earn that, you have to murder someone for the gang. It was half Hispanic. Here's what their tattoos look like. Anyone know what the teardrops mean? Yeah, each solid teardrop's one person he's killed. A clear teardrop, just an outline, is sorrow for the loss of a fellow gang member. And then when you murder the rival who's murdered your gang member, you fill that teardrop in so it's solid. So I've got a video on my YouTube channel right now. It's got 1 million hits. It's the guard's screen in this jail. He's supposed to be watching it and stopping any trouble. He wasn't watching it closely this day. It's an Aryan brother murdering another inmate who's refused to beat someone up for the gang. The method he uses to kill him, for almost 10 minutes, he just smashes this guy's head over and over and over into the concrete. 10 minutes in, guard still hasn't responded. He starts stomping on the back of his head, blood just going everywhere. 20 minutes in, guy's well dead by now, guard still haven't responded, picks the body up, brings it out right in front of the security camera like he's trying to show it off, tries to throw it off the balcony, gets stuck on the railing, and he starts kicking it over and over and over again. Only then do the guards notice what's going on and put him down. This is how much control the gangs have got over the prisoners versus the guards. Now, my job is now going into schools and scaring the living daylights out of young people in the hope they won't make my mistakes. And some of the images I show them are people who've been attacked by the gang members. They like to get you with a shank. It's the quickest way to kill you. He was shanked in the head. So I'm in remand for a year. My parents come up with some money for a lawyer, and we go to court to try and get my bail reduced. They ended up doubling my bail to 1.5 million, so I got moved over to maximum security, which was completely infested with these guys. And I never set out to be a writer, but I started to write about the cockroaches, and the Guardian ran an article, and it picked up from there. They didn't bite, at least. They just lined up in the cracks in the walls, and you could wrap a sheet around you to keep them off you. What did bite was, the spider bite wound's gone. There was spiders as well that bit. So I was on remand for 26 months, and I ended up getting a 9.5-year sentence, sent over to super maximum security to serve the balance of it. Started out with the most violent, dangerous prisoners, including death row. My first neighbor is a serial killer, and my first cellmate is a Satanist. Got a satanic pentagram tattooed on his forehead, and for murder, part of a cult that's drinking blood and eating human body parts. And he was actually very nice to me. He just read a book about Leonardo da Vinci, and he gave it me, and we discussed it, and I didn't have to sleep with one eye open or anything. I got moved over to medium security, hoping they'll be a bit softer. I was wrong. My first cellmate in medium's this guy on the left, serial home invader, torturer, breaking into people's houses and taking ball-peen hammers to their kneecaps. Welcoming statement to me: I've got a padlock in a sock. I can smash your brains in while you sleep. I can kill you whenever I want. Really nice guy. And I was telling him, I'm just quiet. All I do is read and write. I'm not going to bother you. But he didn't like me because I was a fresh fish, and he considered himself an old con. Now, he was very sneaky. He knew my family were flying 5,000 miles to visit me for Christmas. Got his mate, this 20-stone California biker, to attack me just when I'm walking to this visit with my parents. Just going along as happy as can be. Crowded corridor. He sneaks up behind me, bam, starts kidney punching me. All the prisoners stop to see my reaction because the gang rule is you must hit back or else you're a punk and everyone preys on you. But if you do hit back and the guards see it, you're sent to lockdown, you lose your visits. So I had to think fast on my feet, spun around, started throwing some kicks and punches. It didn't end up well for me at all. It was like hitting a big bag of cement. And he was trained in kickboxing. Smashed me up, knocked me down. I ended up going to the visit all injured. Mum's asking me what's wrong, and I can't say because she had a nervous breakdown. When I got back from the visit, my cellmate, he's getting higher on heroin and crystal meth. 90% of the guys were shooting up drugs. I couldn't believe society rounded up mostly drug addict criminals, such as myself, and then put them in a place where there's the hardest drugs. In America right now, even with the states legalizing some weed, every minute a young person is arrested for marijuana in America. The war on drugs is a war on young people and people with addiction issues. So he starts showing me this padlock in the sock that he's going to smash my head in with. And I got so scared, it was the only time I called for outside help. Call my family, I'm like, look, can you put a call into the embassy and see if they'll get me moved from this cell called the prison? But when they do so, they can't say anything I've said that would get him in trouble, because that would make me a snitch. And the gang rule is kill on sight. They'd all want to kill me. So fortunately, the embassy called and handled it appropriately, and I was moved without getting him in any trouble. He was throwing batteries at me for a couple of weeks afterwards, until I got a cellmate who was bigger, who had some words, and it all stopped after that. These are some of the guys I met inside. I started to put those stories on the internet, and I still support them to this day. Frankie, Mexican Mafia hitman, is in for murder for hire. Beat that case because all the witnesses disappeared. But throughout his entire life, he served 29 years. First time he came to my cell to introduce himself, I was locked down, my pants and boxers were down, I was applying antifungal ointments to the bleeding bed sores on my behind. He took one look at this through the window, disappeared, and decided to play a practical joke on me. A couple of hours later, I got a mysterious love letter shoved under my door, commenting on my hairy arse and proposing we have a gay prison marriage. His exact words were, "I'm looking forward to shampooing your hairy arse on our honeymoon in San Francisco." Fortunately, that was just his sense of humor. He was a chess heavyweight, and I started to play chess with him, and there was no kinky sex stuff involved. T-Bone, 6.5-foot former Marine. They called him John Coffey after that movie, The Green Mile. He was risking his life over and over, stopping people from getting raped in prison. His entire body is covered in scars from all these life and death fights. One of the most inspirational people I ever met, if he's on your side. Xena, 6.5-foot charismatic transsexual. Man who believes he's a woman trapped in a man's body. When Xena first came in, he didn't look like that. He was big, clicked up with the gang as a debt collector, blood in, blood out, crossed the gang, and ended up getting gang raped. They raped him multiple times, beat him up until he was unconscious, stuck a broomstick inside of his body. And in the end, I said to Xena, how did you manage to stop them from doing that? And he said he started fighting back. He won most of the fights. He told him he didn't care about whether he lived or died. And that wasn't actually the truth. I found out months later what he'd done. He was studying anatomy. The next 2 times, the gangs came to rape him. First member of the gang to put the hand on Xena. Xena plucked the eyeball out so it was dangling from the optic nerve. Yep, that's what it took. They left Xena alone, but they moved on to one of his friends, who they held down after gang raping. They took a shovel from the work crew and cut his head off. And they positioned the head in an area of the prison where the rival gangs would see it to make the point they were the most violent and ruthless out of all of the gangs. Yeah. They looked at me as a visitor to their world with my little sentence. This guy started to protect me, 2 Tonys, Italian mafia mass murderer serving 141 years. Because he'd only murdered rival gangsters, he was at the top of the hierarchy in the prison. If you've murdered a woman or a child, it's kill on sight. He dictated his life story to me, and once he took me on his wing, I never got smashed again. And there I am with my mum. I got released in December of 2007. I promised all the guys I would keep their stories going on the internet, keep exposing the war on drugs for the fraud that it is, just warehousing people that are black, Latino, mentally ill, soldiers coming home. A lot of my friends were ex-Marines, and they're just $50,000 a year of taxpayers' money per prisoner. That's how much these private prisons make off the back of them and all these other corporations. So that's what I'm doing, and the talks to the schools. And thank you very much for listening to my story. Cheers. Thank you.